Hello everyone, it is TIJ and welcome to a Football Manager 2019 Team Guide. Today it's the turn of Crystal Palace, a team that amazingly finished 11th last year after scoring no points and I don't think scoring any goals in the first 6 or 7 games under Frank de Boer. He was sacked quickly, Roy Hodgson came in and steered them to a 12th place finish. And I have to say, looking at this Crystal Palace squad on paper, it looks pretty good. Let's get straight into it. We've got a hell of a lot of players with good ability, the likes of Max Meyer, Luka Milivojevic, the former Liverpool player Saka, former Manchester United player Wilfried Zaha. But you've got some very good potential players in there, the likes of Jaro Wiedewald, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, again, Max Meyer, Zaha, Milivojevic. You can see the pattern here of players. But also in the younger squads, you've got the likes of Levi Lemeka, Johnny Williams. God, Johnny Williams seems to have been at Palace absolutely forever. To be fair, he has. He's been at the team for over 10 years now. Since the age of, what's that, 14, 15? Yeah, bonkers. Pardon me. But let's have a look at the dynamics of this team first off. Let's see what it's like. The match cohesion is quite poor, apparently. The players haven't got much understanding with each other. But in terms of team leaders, they look pretty good. Wilfried Zaha, Jason Puncheon, and Scott Dan. Scott Dan and Zaha are all well established, as well as Puncheon. But the problem with Puncheon is, as captain, he's only a backup player now. You're probably going to struggle to get him into the squad much, and he's probably a championship player at best now. And I think you'll possibly let him go. I don't know, but you'll possibly let him go on a free at the end of the season, which means that you'll have to redistribute your captain. Whether you give it to Zaha or not, potentially to make him stay at the club, that might tempt him. As you can see, there's some massive interest from some big clubs like Bayern, Chelsea, Tottenham and Arsenal. So maybe giving him the captaincy might strengthen his appeal to stay at the club. But you've also got the likes of Benteke, Ward and MacArthur as highly influential players. But you've got two problems on your hands, I'd say, in terms of dynamics. You've got the retirement of Jason Puncheon, and you've also got a hell of a lot of interest in Wilfried Zaha, which might be a problem in the future. But nonetheless, you should be alright. Now, let's have a look at tactics. When we've gone with the tactic of Route 1, much like I did with Burnley, but we've gone with a little bit different this time, a 4-2-3-1. We've got Gualter in goal with Ward, Tompkins, Sacco and Wiedewald at the back. We've got Kouyaté and Milivojevic in the middle, with Sant Townsend, Meyer, Zaha on the wings, with Benteke up front. As you can see, most of the players have a good ability in that squad, albeit maybe MacArthur's in there, not in there, but you've also got Alexander Sorloth, but again, Benteke is a good player, so possibly he deserves to be in that team. But let's have a look at some of the new players for Palace. I'm not very familiar with some of the players who have joined Palace, as in, naming the players, but looking at the players now, I do recognise at least 3 of them. The only one I don't recognise, Vicente Guaita. Now, they've had to replace Julian Speroni for a few years now. He's 39 years old and amazingly still at the club. But Guaita has come in from Getafe in Spain. Is it Getafe or Getafe? I sound like a right fool if it's Getafe. If it's just Getafe or something like that. But I've called it Getafe. But nonetheless, he's just joined the club for a fee of something, apparently. Undisclosed fee, but I guess probably about 10-15 million, roughly. I might be way off. But interesting that he's coming to the club at the age of 31. With Hennessy also at the age of 31. That's an interesting one. And possibly you might be able to see a bit of a, not a scrapping shoe between the two, but a bit of a fight for position between Hennessy and Guaita. Obviously, Hennessy's been at the club for a long time. Hennessy, actually, in fact, they're very similar in terms of their stats. Hennessy just outweighs a little bit in terms of shot stopping and distribution. Guaita just outweighs in terms of aerial and communication stats, as well as mental stats. But it's very close, so really it's all about personal preference, about who you play in the goal. Checo Kouyaté is also coming to Palace from West Ham for a fee of 9.5 million. A good sign, I think, for Crystal Palace. West Ham made a 3.5 million profit after playing him for 4 consecutive seasons. But he's a solid midfielder who's actually got a little bit of versatility. He can play at the back and in the attacking midfield, but can't really play at the back or attacking midfield. That's just lying completely. But he's more of a defensive midfielder, which might help you, but he can play as a central midfielder as well. And that's a good signing for Palace. They've also built in Max Meyer on a free transfer. Now, Max Meyer in the last few years has been someone that a lot of people have gone, ooh, this is going to be a big player in the Premier League. And a little bit like Renato Sanchez when he joined Swansea. A little bit of a shock when Max Meyer decided to join Crystal Palace on a free. But he's an important player for Palace, not surprisingly already. He's a very good centre-mid and centre-attacking midfielder as an advanced playmaker. And the likes of his free kicks, technique, vision and agility are just absolutely fantastic. And there is so much ability with this player to go in a potential. He's already played 150 matches nearly for Schalke and Schalke 2 within a few years. And there's a lot to be excited about with Max Meyer at the Palace. The final one is a loan of Jordan Ayew on loan from Swansea. He's another striker option, but I wouldn't worry about him too much. You can always send him back on loan after a few months, I'm guessing. You can't send him back just yet, but I wouldn't worry about that one too much. So let's have a look at some players you could potentially bring into the squad. Now, you've got $8.5 million in the kitty, and on the shortlist, we've got a few players. We've got Oliver Burke, who is free on Football Whispers, 3 out of 5 to join the club, but I don't really see it happening. He's quite similar, I'd say, to Max Meyer in terms of his age, not similar to Max Meyer in terms of his nationality or anything else, but the fact is another youth prospect, again, could possibly join, but I don't really see it happening. That's more of a realistic thing than anything else. And we've got a little bit of a lack of depth in the midfield, it seems. In terms of central midfielding, amazingly, there's only one natural midfielder in the squad. That's quite absolutely bonkers, isn't it? So potentially there could be a few players you bring in, the likes of Danny Drinkwater, who I think I'm just going to recommend on every one of my team guides now. His asking price is £4 million. What a bargain that would be. Wow. Absolute bargain. £4 million for a player that joined from Leicester for £27 million. He's just a signing that you've got to bring in. And to be honest, there's no justification of it because it's just got to happen. He's 28 years old, would fit in really well at Palace. Callum Grippin's another one who's a little bit younger at Manchester United. He looks pretty good to me, actually. His technique looks pretty good. Some of his attacking stats look pretty good. Not necessarily as a centre mid, but as an attacking midfielder, looks like a very good prospect. His vision, technique, passing and long shots, again, also obviously stand out as well as his dribbling. But he's been at Manchester United all of his career, not played a senior game yet, and I think possibly going to on loan to Palace, you might be able to see how he gets on and see if he does any better. Also, Moussa Sissoko's another option out on that right wing. There's not much depth, I don't think, out on that right wing, if I remember rightly. You've got Zaha and Townsend, but apart from that, there's not really any other options. And as I mentioned before, if Zaha does leave the club, then it leaves a big gap on that right and the left. So Sissoko can come in on the right, potentially. He's only $8 million from Tottenham Hotspur. A lot of good Premier League experience. And on the left, is there anyone on the left that's listed? Let's have a look. Left wing, we want for transfer listed, don't we? Lucas Piazon could be someone you bring in potentially. He's a bit of a late bloomer in terms of his development, but he's been in the Championship a few times, not really played in the Premier League. In terms of loan listed, you've got Adebayo Lookman from Everton. That would be a good one. 20 years old, just for the season perhaps, if Zaha leaves in the next few months, just to find your feet potentially, and that would be good. A good signing would Adebayo Lookman be for the Palace. But there's only an $8.5 million kitty, so just bear in mind that it's very much an exhaustible transfer kitty. Let's finally have a look at training. Now, I haven't had a look at training, but what I understand is determination and work rate are going to work together to make players good in training. So, like Milivojevic will be fine. You look like you've got a pretty good squad in terms of determination and work rate working together. You've got some very determined players like Joel Ward and Sacco. Gerard Wiedewald's got quite poor determination and work rate, actually, which is a little bit of a concern. Max Meyer looks half decent. Wilfried Zaha looks very good, but again, it's a bit of a worry if you lose Wilfried Zaha. What value should you sell him for? That's an interesting one. He joined, of course, from Man United for $4.6 million. So whatever value you sell him at, you will definitely make a profit on Zaha. And I think that you will sell Zaha in the end, because if there's interest from those four clubs, it's going to be very unrealistic to shrug them off. And I reckon possibly, this might sound daft, but 50 million might be in the range that you're selling for. And again, you can rebuild the squad with that. You know, Zaha goes, you can bring in another striker. So I'm not really confident that Benteke is going to be the best striker in the long run. But you've got Zorloff actually at the club, but he hasn't really proved himself too much yet. You've got a few more players. You've got the likes of Jordan Ayew, but potentially, you know, if you go onto the scouting and you've got 50 million, that all of a sudden opens you up to other strikers. If we look at transfer listed strikers, the likes of possibly Akaka, I know he's only 5 million, but still, you could look at the likes of Gabbiadini, Chicharito, Josh King, Chris Wood. I mean, Vincent Janssen as well. He could be one that you possibly bring in, but he's not transfer listed yet. And the list just goes on and on and on. So, I think the biggest thing with Crystal Palace is, do you get rid of Zaha or not? Let me down in the comments. Do you reckon you can keep Wilfried Zaha in your saves? Will certainly be an interesting one. But I think that's it for today's team guide. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I have been CIJ, and I hope you found it effective in terms of the squads, transfers, dynamics, training tactic, and the future transfers of Palace. But apart from that, folks, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.